Hello, I'm Police Sergeant Bill Gleason. Viewing this video will not certify you for the baton, handcuffs, or self-defense. Its purpose is to familiarize you with the various techniques. To be certified, you will need to attend a registered training class with a certified instructor. We will be demonstrating self-defense techniques and, in a few cases, how to restrain a prisoner until the police arrive. But first, I need to impress upon you that none of these techniques should be used unless you or someone else's life is in jeopardy. Now let's begin. The first thing we're going to cover is a straight baton, also known as the tactical baton or Kogan nightstick. It has the handle, grip area, shaft area, and the tip. When you strike, use just the end section of the baton. Always remember these weapons are only to be used as defensive weapons and only when someone is being physically and actively aggressive towards you. When you deliver the strikes, always hit the muscle mass areas. Generate as much power as you can so you only have to hit them once. If he doesn't respond and keeps coming at me throwing punches, I want to get my momentum going with the target. I rotate my hips and shoulders, drive, and put all that energy into your target. As I come through, striking the target area, driving all that energy into him. Hopefully that will be enough of a devastating blow that will stop him assaulting me and I can take control. Our target areas are aiming for muscle mass areas of the arms and legs. Never intentionally strike the head because of the potential for serious damage or even death. In other words, serious injury is very likely, so we're aiming for muscle mass areas. Remember, when you strike someone with the baton, it has to be justified. Here, the best technique is to strike targets that are presented to you. If he's extended out trying to throw punches, it makes it easier to strike the forearm. I'm not aiming for bones or joints, I'm aiming for muscle mass areas. I'm trying to hit that muscle mass area which will cause the least amount of physical damage but will still allow me to take control. I cannot stress it enough. Your objective is to take control with the least amount of injury, end the fight, and take control as quickly as possible. You are not there to punish or get even. You must always be a professional. Overreacting could result in you being charged with assault or worse. You want to get good torque. Drive with your legs, rotate your hips and shoulders, and drive that strike down. Center mass of the arm, center mass of the bicep-tricep area, always keeping your hand up and return back to that area. For the legs, aim for the muscle mass area, not to the knees, bones, or the joints. Never lead with your head or bend down to try to strike. Lower yourself with your legs, take your defensive posture, and deliver the strike. Notice my hips and shoulders are rotating. I'm pivoting on the ball of the back foot. I'm driving through. I want to strike and then reset, obviously giving verbal commands. If he kicks and his leg is up, I'm presented that target. The same thing, come in and strike that calf area. Delivering that strike will hopefully end it right there. There are several other strikes that can be used. The following are just a few. This can be used for crowd control or just getting the subject back if he's coming toward me. I drop the baton in front of me, holding both ends, and drive it in. I don't go in and up. I don't want to go towards the head or neck. What I'm doing is driving in and down towards the center of his body, driving him back, telling him to get back the whole time. This is just a straight strike coming across, driving it in and down. You can use batons coming across, open hand, and as a delivering block. If he's got a baseball bat or something, you don't want to use this baton. You want to transition and go to your firearm if you have it. If not, try to create distance. But if you need it, this straight baton can be used open hand. Wrap your hands around it, open hand. You can deliver all sorts of blocks with it, high block, middle block, or low block if he's trying to kick at you. The next baton we're going to talk about is the expandable baton, sometimes referred to as the ASP, Armament, Systems, and Procedures. It's typically only 9 inches or smaller. It is compact and should be worn in its holster on your belt. The 9-inch ASP extends up to 26 inches. They are friction locking batons. You have your grip, you have your shaft, you have the tip with the cap. Your end cap should be facing your adversaries. Once you get it extended, this usually gets the psychological intimidation needed to bring things under control, especially when they hear it snapped into place and hear your verbal commands. Stop, on the ground, get back, put your hands behind your head, and get on your knees. To make it expand and remain expanded, you have to snap it out to lock it in place. Snap your wrist to extend it out. I prefer going toward the ground. If you're in a combative situation and your hands are slippery and snap it upward, you could lose it. On a 45-degree angle down, never out to the side, just snap it out and come into a good defensive posture. I like keeping the baton shaft down on my shoulder, not up here in case I get hit on the side. I don't want the shaft going into my neck or my jaw. The end is always facing your adversary. Here are some basic strikes. As I come here at a 45-degree angle down, I don't want to drop my shoulder and come towards the head. What I'm doing is coming a 45-degree angle down. I keep my head up to protect, pivoting on the ball of my feet, rotating my hips and shoulders, driving in towards my target, delivering that strike here. I'm striking with the last portion of the baton. Here again, we strike the center mass of the arm, muscle mass of the arm, or muscle mass of the leg. If I need to, I can deliver a combination strike, which is coming across here. I reset and come back across and reset. It's a combination, just like the 1-2 punch. I come across here and strike, reset, come back across, and deliver my strikes. To the legs, the same thing. I come through here, boom, reset, or I can throw the combination and go in here, reset, and come back and reset. I can also deliver a straight strike, or I can lower the baton in front of me, stepping in and driving it down, telling him to get back. If he is throwing punches, I can use it to block. When using the Kogan baton, you must always be justified in its use. You must never use it unless you're fearing for your personal safety. When you deliver the strikes to the muscle mass areas, generating as much power as you can so you only have to hit the guy once. So as I come out with the baton, I'm giving verbal commands and he keeps coming, throwing punches. I want to get my momentum going with my target. Rotate my hips and shoulders. Drive and put all that energy into your target. As I come through, striking the target, driving all that energy so hopefully you'll only have to hit him once. Hopefully that will be enough of a devastating blow where that will stop your adversary from assaulting you. The ass baton is a cross-drawn baton. Keeping that hand up, crossing in front of you, getting it out, getting it extended. So as I come out extended, telling him get back, whatever I need to tell him, get down, stop, whatever. If he keeps coming and is actively assaulting me, I'm going to do the same thing. The last baton we're going to talk about is the handle baton, or the PR-24. This baton is primarily used on the West Coast. There are a lot of uses for this baton. As you can see, it has a good grip area. There are a lot of block techniques that you can do with this baton. It's a little bit different in the way it's carried. It can be carried in a low position here. You can still deliver blocks and deliver your strikes. From here, you can obviously use the whip effect of the baton. You are still aiming for that muscle mass area. As you get the baton out, you deliver the strike. Here again, I rotate my hips and shoulders, just letting the handle rotate with one hand, striking with the last couple of inches and aiming for a good muscle mass, delivering the combination. Coming in here and come back. The strikes can also be delivered in close quarters. From here, I can come in and deliver the strike. Blocks can be the same thing. Here, or I can deliver the blocks with an open hand, or I can deliver a straight strike here, coming in and jabbing or coming across and delivering the strike with a straight strike there. You can use the PR-24 as a lever. As I come through, I'm going to go down. I take the baton here. If he's not getting his hands up, so I'm not going to strike him with the baton. But what I can do is use it as a prying tool to get his arms out. As I come through, I'm going to go down, dropping to my knee to try to get the effect. If I come through here, I drop my knee and taking that baton and jabbing it right in between, trying to hit the ground. As I come in, that's going to hurt if I really pry down. Now all I do is start rocking forward. I'm pushing forward on the handle, trying to feed the end through. Once I get it, it's going to act like a lever. I'm going to push forward and pry his hand out from underneath him and put it behind his back. I've got good control. A good thing with these handle batons, I can just go here and maintain control. The handle controls the other part of the arm. I've got it here, just press down and lift it up. I can actually hold him with one arm and handcuff him from here. So you can use these batons as pry tools. Let's say you have an individual under arrest. The first thing you want to do is put him in a position of weakness. I'm going to have him turn away from me. Tell him, "Sir, turn away from me." I'm standing making sure he doesn't have any weapons on him. I want to see his hands, so I'm going to order him to put his hands up. Depending on what kind of cuff you want, if he's being compliant and there are no weapons in that high-risk area, meaning the belt line area, I'm going to have him move his hands to the small of his back with his palms pointed outward and his thumbs pointed up. Put your hands in the small of your back, palms out, thumbs pointed up, spread your feet apart. By doing that, I take his balance away from him. He has to move his feet together to regain his balance, which will give me a chance to react. I'm going to bring his hands away from his back and separate his hands. Bring your hands away from your back. Separate your hands. What we want to do as I come in is the same thing. I'm going to expect resistance. As I come in, I'll do a reverse handshake. I lock that thumb down. As I come through, I pull his hand away and I do a slight twist wrist lock outward. Now I've got him under control where I can reach for my cuffs. I don't want my cuffs in hand when I come up here and wind up fiddling around. I want to get him under control first and make sure there's no resistance. Now I get my cuffs out. I'm using my body to show you how to deliver the cuffs. Don't lock the cuffs until you've established you're not cutting off circulation and doing damage to his wrist. Notice the keyholes are facing out, which makes it easier to get off. His palms are facing out, which makes it harder for him to grasp anything. This is what we want for compliant cuffing. But I've got single cuff facing forward, the keyhole facing me. I assume that pistol grip hold on the cuff. All I do is take that bottom cuff, rotate it down, go right on the wrist, the skinniest part of the wrist, push down and pull up. The cuff locks, I cinch it up. Handshake, lock in the thumb now. Same thing, single cuff on the skinny part of the wrist, not to cock the wrist too much. That makes it harder to get the cuff off. I now have control. If he starts to resist, I can do some things with the cuffs on him. If I pull away from his back with that single cuff on, cinch it up, got him stopped. You should also double lock the cuffs here, but make sure that you can get at least one finger inside those cuffs. If you cannot, they are too tight. You will need to readjust by placing a second set of cuffs on properly and removing the first set of cuffs. When taking the handcuffs off, I want to put him at the greatest possible disadvantage. I'm going to ask him to spread his feet apart with legs out. I'm going to ask him to bring his hands away from the small of his back. When he does that, it puts him off balance. He's leaning forward and is less of a threat to me, but don't get lax, he still can be a threat. The last cuff on is the first one off. I come in and reverse handshake. I give him instructions on what I want him to do with that hand once the cuff comes off. I don't want him reaching or doing anything else with it, so I tell him, leave your hand right there in the small of your back. That way I can still see it. You don't need to get your handcuffs out until this person is under control. Load your cuffs in the handcuff case the same way every time. The way I'd like to see them is single cuff facing forward, keyholes facing the sky, fold your cuffs up, line them up together. You don't want them too far in the case or not enough in the case. Keyhole to keyhole. Now I'm going to show you some speed cuffing techniques. From this point, we're doing a pat down to try to control. Sir, interlock your fingers behind your head. Once he complies, I can come up using several techniques. I like to grab the hand, squeezing all the fingers together. If you're coming in from weapon side away, all you're going to do is hook that middle finger, and that is a lot stronger and better grip. See how he's changing his balance already just from that. Instead of trying to grab all, he'd be able to pull out of that pretty quickly. So it's best to just grab a few fingers instead of trying to grab them all. And that is a speed cuffing technique. The important part of this is the speed and application. Before we showed you his hands were pointed outward in a better position. Now I don't care where his hands are. I don't care where the keyhole is facing. This is the most important thing, speed and application. I want to get him restrained as quickly as possible. This concludes the non-lethal weapons training session. As we stated at the beginning, these training sessions should only be used to familiarize security officers with self-defense techniques. They are not to be used as certification in self-defense. That can only be accomplished by certified self-defense instructors in a hands-on environment.